Joe Paff, thank you for joining us. We have Joe Paff with us from Husco. Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at Husco and uh, how Husco fits into the automotive supply chain?
Yeah, happy to join you today. Um, Husco is a manufacturer of off-highway and automotive components. We sell hydraulic and actuator controls for companies like Caterpillar, Ford Motor Company, Stellantis, CNH, kind of every big model you can think of on the highway or off the highway. We have some sort of product going into those customers.
Yeah, what can you give us a feel for how big you are? How big a
We're
company
about
Husco is?
Yeah, Husco is about a $500 million organization with about 1,500 employees worldwide. We have our headquarters here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, with facilities in Whitewater, Maquoketa, Iowa, just outside of Manchester, UK, in addition to Pune, India, and Shanghai, China.
We're with Brandon Beard, the president of Duxback Composite Decking. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you for having me, Buckley. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. We can obviously see you're in Green Bay from all the regalia there.
We
Um,
are we are in
why
Green Bay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do?
Sure. So yeah, Duxback Composite Decking. We manufacture composite decking products. Our claim to fame and the reason for the name Duxback is we've got one product line, which is our Duxback deck, which is a water shedding deck profile, which is unique in our industry. It's kind of a one of a kind and sets us apart from our competition. We're a smaller organization that's been around since 2009. I've got 30 total employees that work for us. We work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the manufacturing side for the most part, and sell through distribution. And primarily the end user obviously are the homeowners or the large multifamily projects, things like that. But we sell through distribution all the way down the chain. And so, yeah, that's what we do here in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Well, we have Kevin Garrity with us from Riverside Machine and Engineering up in Eau Claire. Kevin, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Really, really good. Hey, so tell us a little bit about Riverside.
Yeah, so we are a vacuum aluminum brazing provider. Our history kind of dates back to Cray Engineering out of Chippewa Falls here. Fortunate enough to expand into our new facility in Eau Claire here, going on almost 10 years now. And so we've got a machine shop that's really set up to service our vacuum aluminum brazing. So majority of our customers are aerospace defense, some high technology, semiconductor stuff. And we've been seeing a lot of interest lately from commercial, whether it be basically commercial batteries, whether they go in a vehicle or go into different sources that they use them.
And what's your role with the company?
Sure, I'm in the business development department and was hired on going on 3 years now to do sales. So mainly handle new accounts, incoming sales, the oddities that wouldn't typically fit with an account manager. It ends up on my desk.
So tell us, how'd you get hooked on AI?
So we've had a couple of investigations into what AI could do for us in the last 3 or 4 years, some of it around vision systems. So from a quality perspective, we use vision quite commonly in our manufacturing operations to ensure that the parts are either manufactured by individuals or manufactured by robotics correctly. Those advances have been significant. And then within the last year, along with everybody else in the world, as soon as ChatGPT took the world by storm, we became very interested in what it could mean for our knowledge workers around the world.
Well, I've been a bit of a techie myself. I like being on the front end. I don't necessarily wait in line for the new iPhone to come out, but I'm always interested in new things. And I'm a statistician. I have a Six Sigma black belt, and so I'm always interested in data, in how you can process data. And when big data analytics programs like Power BI and Tableau came out, I was really kind of on the front end of that and self-taught myself. And I saw the power that was behind these kinds of softwares. And when I started hearing a little bit about Chat GPT was I wouldn't say it was my first, you know, it wasn't the first time I heard about AI, but it was the first time that I went, I understand how this might be applicable and be, can be released to the consumers. And so I started with ChatGPT and I just got on the front end of it. I did what a lot of people did, which was get frustrated because I couldn't get on and it was always busy. And so I thought, I'm jumping in with both feet. I'm going to get the subscription and start messing around. So it really was ChatGPT was kind of my first go at AI.
Yeah, well, it's always been kind of an interest. And then starting, I want to say really November-ish of 2022, OpenAI released their Chat GPT for public release. And following a thread on Twitter and actually linked over to it and signed up. It's a free account and was able to start playing around with it. And it's been able to do some pretty cool stuff for us.
And then how'd you start to explore it? And how'd you start figuring out, what makes sense?
So we didn't know what to do at first. So what we did was just trial and error, quite honestly. From the very start, we established some do's and don'ts for the organization to really protect our confidential information and make sure we didn't get over our skis in trying to adopt this and use it in our business practices. But at first it was pretty fluid and somewhat open-ended because we weren't sure what to do with it. But we were not overly afraid of it in the sense that we didn't want to preclude people from using it, but we want to be a little bit cautious in how much we encourage people to use it. And one of the things that we did after the initial euphoria in January, February, March is we established a 70-person group to evaluate the Bing chat tools in particular, which were fueled by the same underlying engine from OpenAI. And we asked these 70 people to use the tools as frequently as they could in their regular business activities and see what their results were for fidelity of the results, the improvement in productivity, and what use cases gave the most value. And those 70 people were from around the world in all of the different functional areas of our business. And then after the 3-month trial had finished, we surveyed the group on the results. And the results varied as you would expect. So users who asked the Bing chat tool, which is powered by the same engine as ChatGPT, the users that asked more questions, who used it more frequently, had better productivity results. So, direct correlation between using it more got more benefit. The other question that we asked users was about the fidelity of the answers. And here we saw variation. The best fidelity of answers came from language generation and software assistance. So language generation would be, write me a job description for a particular role, or write me a marketing piece on a particular piece of technology. Whereas a technical software ask of the AI tools might have been, I have this Excel problem and I want a solution for it. Or maybe something in our embedded software, or something that the IT group maybe would use. Those answers were very, very accurate and very, very much improved the productivity of users that had that sort of a use case. If the users were looking for something that was maybe historical or high dependency on context, the accuracy of the answers weren't quite as crisp. So we found those to be less beneficial from a productivity standpoint. And in general, users got between 0 and 10% productivity advantage in their use of the tools. So some got very little, but those were also users that asked less questions. And the people that asked the most questions and had the use case of language generation or some sort of software assistance saw up to 10%. And again, this was early days. Nobody was really familiar with it. So we were learning, the tools were getting better. So those sorts of numbers are only going to get better as time goes on and the proliferation into other tools within our normal workday expand year over year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the general curiosity and then my immediate reaction was how much different it was than Google, and how much different it was than the other things that are out there. Not only in the speed, but the way it responded to me was just mind blowing. And so I just I started getting real curious about, well, how do you query it? What do how do you prompt it? And once I kind of found out, well, holy smokes, you can ask it the same question, but if you prompt it ahead of time beforehand to act how you want it to act, you can get completely different results. And so that was, to me, I mean, like I said, it just kind of blew my mind. And I thought, all right, now how do I incorporate this into my everyday life and in my career to make things easier?
Well, I don't really have a machining background, so I don't really have a computer coding background, but I do like to use it to kind of expand on what I can do. So I've done everything from have it generate some PowerPoints and slideshows for us in meetings, kind of summarize meeting notes, take everybody's meeting notes, summarize them down. And then it'll actually write the little bat files for me, little scripts to kind of help me improve my day, kind of save a little bit of time.
Yeah, so where are you getting the most traction with that? What function or what activities are people seeing the most benefit?
Yeah, today I would say it's functions like the management group, our deep technical group, software, IT professionals, and HR. If you think of the language generation requirements that exist in HR or in our marketing groups, those are the areas that probably today are seeing the most benefit from the tools. I do see that changing, however, today or in the very near future with the expansion of the AI tools within our regular office tools that everybody uses with email or video collaboration or work management. The AI tools are finding their way into these additional tools, and I think that's when the benefit is going to become more widespread across all the different functional areas, including finance and engineering and operations and supply chain.
For the most part, what I've done is I've created different prompts and so I have an HR where I will tell it, you are an HR professional. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to respond like an HR professional. And, of course, you take the response, if you know that it's still artificial intelligence and that it's not an actual HR professional giving you advice. But it really kind of gets the thought process rolling and it gives you really good feedback as to, all right, here's the situation I'm in, and it'll give you some feedback. And so to me, it's a really good thought starter for certain things that I'm just not an expert on. That is enough information to allow me to make a good decision. And then I'm, again, kind of a statistician, operations minded. So a lot of times I have a hard time getting what's in my head clearly to come out on a sheet of paper or clearly to come out on an email. And so ChatGPT has really helped me I can say it or type it rather in a manner in the way that I think. And ChatGPT does a really good job of articulating my thoughts and putting it in a manner that then I can compose a good email or a memo to my team or whatever it might be. And so that's how I use it like every day. I don't, a lot of people will say, is ChatGPT responding to all my emails and it's not personal, it's not a personal because I don't do that because it's not good enough, frankly, right? I have a personality behind my email and ChatGPT doesn't, but it gives me enough that I can then put my personality behind it. So that's how I use it. It helps me with business planning. It helps me with creating agendas for meetings. It helps me, with software that I'm not familiar with. So Salesforce, as an example, is a software that we use. I'm not super familiar with it. Yesterday, we have case files where one of my employees had said, boy, really, really nice if there was a field that said, how old is this case? Well, I'm sure Salesforce can figure that out. I go to ChatGPT. I have a Salesforce prompt that says you are a Salesforce, professional, and I will ask it. I have a case file. I want to provide me the formula and the step-by-step process in order to make this happen. And it, of course, in a matter of seconds, spits it out. And this is during a Teams meeting. And so while we're having a Teams meeting, it was probably 10 minutes later. I said, all right, I've updated it. Update the case file and you'll see it in there. That would have taken me a phone call to somebody, a help desk request. that would have taken me 3 days and a bunch of money and a bunch of resources. It literally took me 10 minutes and we had exactly what we wanted. That's a real case scenario that happened yesterday that saved us a lot of time. It provided somebody with a tool that they had requested, and we did it before the meeting was even over.
So in the office here, there is a group of us that do it. And it's always fun to kind of look up and say, hey, was that ChatGPT or was that you? You know? But we all kind of have our own little use cases for it. Yeah, it's been growing.
So do you collaborate, or are you just working individually?
So far, it's mostly been working individually.
And is there as you're working through these things, are there places where you're seeing opportunities where the company can really make some advances and not just in individual little silos?
Yeah, actually, I was at a trade show last month and was approached by somebody who'd mentioned she'd been working on a number of years ago using large language models to do job planning, within manufacturing plants. So it was nice to get her contact, and I kind of put her in contact with our process engineers. So there is some really, really big advantages that are either out there right now or will be coming in the future that we're really hoping to capitalize on.
Yeah, what do you think some of those advantages are?
Any of your repeat tasks, which, I think, as everybody likes to say, is if it's repetitive, it can be automated. So traditionally, we've always thought about that as the collaborative robots in the machine shop or inspection. And really, this is kind of a collaborative robot for the office environment. So I will say, as somebody who's not the greatest with grammar, that I'm very happy to see this.
So are you using the technology at all with customers in a way to reach them more effectively or get quicker feedback or someplace that would improve your relationship with them?
We have been using it for our marketing activities, but we haven't necessarily used it for the generation of leads actively in the generation of product, except for kind of down at the very specific level when you look at using AI from a software standpoint to start considering different software methods for the products that are of ours that have software and electronics included in them. But we haven't made a product out of it as some service providers or technology companies have done to date. But I can certainly see a future where that will be available. I can imagine a point where our data sources from all of our automated equipment could be connected through AI to facilitate our customers understanding more about the product that we sell them. We're a little ways away from doing that, probably on a large scale, but it's quite easy to imagine that being a capability within the next couple of years.
One of the things that's unique about our product is, like I said, it's a one-of-a-kind product where a lot of deck builders will say, I've been building decks my whole life, and I don't need to read the instruction manual. Ours is different. Number one, it goes away from the house because most decks are going parallel to the house. And in our case, you want the water running away from the house. And so you're running it perpendicular. And so we have instruction guides, and the instruction manuals, like most instruction manuals, are written for engineers, and it take a while to read, and it's a beginning to end. So we did think about what are the key things, and so I have actually put the PDF into ChatGPT, and right now what we're using it for is we're really challenging it to say, could this be our technical guide for any contractor where they don't have to read the entire manual, the instruction manual. And then we have very common questions. What do I do about a post? I've got a post, and how do I make sure that it's watertight around the post? And you have to kind of go through different sections in our manual to find that. And so, what we're thinking is that could be a very useful tool. The other thing we're thinking is, could we have it closed circuit, where we have, like I said, our distribution network is we sell to our distributor will sell to a dealer, right, to an 84 Lumber or your local Ace True Value. That's what we would consider a dealer, somebody with a storefront. And they often have turnover, or, they sell 1,000 different products, and ours just happens to be one of them. is could they have something where they could go to find answers that the general public, we wouldn't necessarily wouldn't have that information, but they could. So could we create a page where our customers or our dealers could log into and then get information that way a little bit easier? And it's not too, we still love the personal touch. We consider ourselves a customer service company that just happens to make a fantastic decking product, but we really pride ourselves on our customer service. So it's not to take that away. If people want to call us and talk to us, great. But we also know there's a certain demographic out there that doesn't want that. They want a quick answer. They may have a customer sitting on the other end of the aisle or the other end of the counter, and they don't have time to pick up the phone, but they still want that response. So we're thinking about it in that manner too, is that adds to the customer service experience versus taking it away.
Yeah, so a lot of pop-up meetings. It's nice to use to generate a slide deck, and that's been really helpful for me for going, hey, in 15 minutes we have a meeting. Can you sit in on this? We need to present something. That's always nice. I heavily used it to write our Christmas greeting email, which worked out really nice. So I was pretty happy with how that came out in the end. But past that, not much yet.
So if we come back to you a year from now and have the same conversation, what's going to be different? Where will you have been using AI more aggressively?
So short term, the data work is probably number one right now. Number two is we, as I mentioned, want to be early adopters of the commercially available tools. And Microsoft and others are now integrating their AI tools into the daily work productivity tools, right? Excel, Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, or the competitors from Google. We are going to be evaluating that probably for the next couple of months with a similar sample size to our 70 that we did with the interactive chatting style AI to see what these tools can do for our work experience, right? How we work with our colleagues and our external stakeholders every day, and what sort of improvement in the fidelity and speed of our activities is through using the tools in our everyday work. And I'm excited about what that will show us. I suspect there will be some things that exceed our expectations, some that might fall short.
Yeah.
But I expect that experience will refine our use of the tools in our daily work, our daily knowledge work here at Husco. And I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year if all of us were using AI every day for a meaningful portion of our days to really accelerate the value that we create.
I think I'll roll it out to my team probably more than I do now. I'm still, in the phase where I'm the majority user for the most part on it. And then I think it'll be an add-on to a lot of the other tools. So right now, as an example, I have an AI tool that I use for our meetings. And so it takes notes, it provides feedback on the notes or on the meeting. It will actually send me an email the day before or before another meeting that says, hey, this is a reoccurring meeting, and these were the action items from the last meeting that you had to prepare yourself for this meeting. I find that to be extremely helpful. And so I see us rolling that through the rest of the organization. And then I know we just got access to, Microsoft just came out with I'm drawing a blank on the name of their AI add-on that Microsoft has. I forget what the name of it is, but they just rolled that out, I believe, this week. And so I've already subscribed to that. So I'll see how that incorporates into Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all of the tools that my team is already using for the most part. And then probably more importantly will be the maintenance team. Is how do we take data that we're already collecting that is very difficult to analyze and to sift through, right? That machine type data, process type data, and how do we incorporate AI to predict failures are there better processing conditions? Do things run better? So I think that will be another arena that will have a really big ROI that without it, it would take, it's a heavy lift and a really specific skill set. And oftentimes a very expensive skill set. If you have somebody who understands maintenance in that field, but then also understands the data, but then also understands how to articulate, it's a bit of a unicorn and it's going to be expensive. And so that's how I kind of see AI filling that role of helping my maintenance team just analyze information better than we do today.
I don't know yet. That's kind of been the fun part of this here. So, it's on my phone. I've used it everything from, hey, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Feeding a couple of things I have around the house, and it spits out a recipe. Which the two I've tried have been all right. But I don't know. It's obviously advancing pretty fast here. It's here to stay. So, no, I'm excited to see where it goes.
So if I'm just starting out on this journey, what tips would you give me? I mean, what would you tell me to do first? How would you tell me to approach AI and getting myself up the curve?
Well, I'll tell you a similar thing that we did when we started the 70-person group using the interactive tools today, the Chat GPTs or the Bing Chat. And that was, in the past, most of us looked at search engines as a way, like going to the library, you would tell you where the book was, right? But then you had to do additional research and click on some links and do some more research to get to the answer you wanted. So calling them search tools was the exact right phrase for it. Whereas these AI tools are really an answer tool, right? You ask it a question and it gives you an answer. And that answer is oftentimes really good. Sometimes it isn't, like I cited before, but oftentimes if it's language-based or technology-based, it's an exceptionally accurate answer. And so cutting out that searching, finding, and prospecting and getting to an answer and getting some practice at it personally is probably the best way to get started, because then you'll learn how to navigate this knowledge space productively. No different than all of us learned how to do searching proficiently 15, 20 years ago when AltaVista and some of these other tools were out first, and then Google ended up getting dominant. But all of us became really good at searching. And so now we have to get really good at using AI. And there's really no good replacement for trial and error.
Yeah.
But I would encourage people, if they first get frustrated, they have maybe a first bad experience or a second one, keep working it. There is value there. It's a little bit of us learning how to engage the AI tools and find those value pockets that inevitably are going to continue to expand. But find those pockets and then use that as a starting point to expand from.
First thing I would tell you is to learn how to prompt. Learn what prompting is and learn how to prompt the system, because the prompt is just, it's important to getting the answers that you want. So a good example of that is I was using a different AI software the other day. It was not giving me what I wanted it to give me. Went back into Chat GPT and I asked it, write me a prompt for this software to do X, Y, and Z. Dumped that into that other software and it gave me exactly what I was looking for. And so it needed a different prompt. So that would be the first thing. Prompting is not complex. You can Google it. You can actually ask ChatGPT what prompts should I use to get these kinds of responses. So that would be first things first. Is if you just go in and ask it questions, you're not going to maximize the output of the system. So learn how to prompt it. And a prompt is I want you to act as. I mean, that could be, I want you to act as, and I want you to respond with. That's a prompt. I want you to act as an NBA basketball coach, and I want you to provide me with a game plan that's going to beat a team of 6'5" individuals, and my team is 5'2". And it'll give you an answer. Your team's 5'2", and these, right? Learn how to shoot outside. It'll say something like that. Learn how to shoot. Give up rebounds in fast break a lot. That's what it'll tell you. So one is prompt. And then the other is, like I tell people, it's a lot like Excel. It can be extremely daunting. And if you try to use everything, you're going to get confused. You're going to get stressed out. So start simple. Start with simple prompts, simple formulas, and kind of work your way up to more complex things versus trying to make it do something that is extremely complex. You didn't give it the right prompt and you're going to go, oh, this thing is junk. This doesn't do what I want it to do. Start simple. Or, like I said, Excel users it can either be the greatest tool you've ever used, or it can be the most stressful tool you've ever used, and you'll go back to a calculator. Well,
Or both. It can be both.
Yeah, it can absolutely be both. And so, it's not going away.
But jump into it. So if you've got somebody around the office that you've always considered to be a little techie, always have the latest gadgets, go approach them and see if they're using it. Chances are they've at least heard about it. Number two would be, a lot of these are free. It's sitting at the top of your Google searches probably right now. Bing has got AI availability there. ChatGPT, they need an email address to register to it. Log into them and start playing around with it. See what it can do. Ask it a bunch of questions. See what it's good at, what it's not good at, and really go from there.
That's great. So for folks watching this segment, what's the one or two things you want them to take away from our conversation?
I think really trying it is the best thing to do. Do it with a cohort, do it with some colleagues, compare notes, and refine your vision of how this can create value for you and your organization. Caution is appropriate, but I think this will fundamentally change the way we work, and we will look back 5 years from now on today and how we in our organization reacted. And we'll remember this story that we're starting to tell today. So I would lean into it with caution. But I think the only mistake that one can really make is ignoring it.
Use it, learn it, use it. Like I said, it's not going away. I think too many people have gotten caught up or got caught on the back end of these technological tidal waves, right? And they've been rolled over by them. And I would say it's not going away. Find a way to incorporate it into your business plans, because that's what's going to get at least the Wisconsin manufacturers to the next level. And I think if you ignore it, it's gonna steamroll you. Somebody else is going to use it. And I don't care if you're a small organization with 30 employees like myself, or the largest organization with 3,000 employees. Figure out a way to use it. Learn more about it, because it's not going away.
First off, it's here to stay. It's already a major part of our lives and our economy. It's not going away. So it's not something we can hide from. It's going to change the way we work. I truly feel that's the truth. I don't quite understand how that will be. I don't think anybody does, but make sure you're not too far behind the curve on it. Jump in, feet first, and play around with it, and find ways to help it improve your life.
Well, guys, this has been great. Thank you for some really good information. You've given us a lot of things to think about, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you.